Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my week 4 wrap up for my currently reading project. And let's just see where I ended up with the books on my currently reading list. I finished all 3 books that I set out to finish this week, which is very exciting. Which means for the month, I finished a total of 5 books that were on my currently reading list. The first book that I finished was Let the Right One In, and I ended up really loving this book. I have to admit, I'm a sucker for a really good vampire novel, and this is definitely one. There is some questionable material that I know some people don't like when they read, since this vampire is very young and depends on the help of an older man who likes young children far too much, basically. I thought this was a really great, gripping, pretty scary story of a supernatural monster, and even more scary were the human monsters. There are some heinous, horrible bullies in this book, as well as the pedophile man. I mean, the humans in this story are the worst. But this book also has a lot of great things, discussions on gender. The vampire in this story is, pretty gender fluid, like can seem like girl or boy, and they don't really have a gender at all as a vampire. So that was really interesting. The main character, Oscar, and the vampire, Eli, had a really kind of cute, nice relationship, which was, probably not the best friend to make a vampire, but, it was still a super cute friendship story as well. So that is Let the Right One In. If you haven't read the book or seen the movie, I do recommend them. If you can handle the topics that I mentioned before, bullying, severe, terrible bullying, and pedophilia. So I read the last 198 pages of this book this week. I also finished the short story collection, Song for the Unraveling of the World, and I finished the last 105 pages of that collection, and I really like this collection. When I read one story from it for New Worlds November, I wasn't totally sold on that story, but I actually reread it again for this currently reading project after reading the first few stories, and I could see his writing style and a lot of the elements that he puts into his stories. They really shined. Like, I understood that story more, I got where he was coming from, and I liked it a lot more. I actually noticed a lot more happening in it that I didn't the first time as well. So I actually liked all of these stories. Um, there were a couple that were a little that were a little open-ended at the end, and I wanted more. But other than that, I really like them. They are kind of very weird stories. A couple have a bit of a sci-fi thing going to them. There's a lot of unreliable seeming narrators or altered states or alternate universes, just really weird stuff that kind of alter reality and make things a little on the bizarre side, which I liked in almost all the stories, and it was definitely a winning collection. The last thing I finished for the currently reading project is a anthology, which was Other Voices, Other Tombs. And this is an anthology of indie horror authors that came out a few years ago, and there were some really great names in horror in that anthology. Names that we've seen a lot more since then, which was really cool. And there were a lot of fantastic horror stories in this collection. I would recommend it if you haven't checked it out. There's even a story by Cameron Chaney, who has a booktube channel too, and his story was fantastic. So I would recommend checking out Other Voices, Other Tombs. It was a good one, and I read 118 pages of that this week. The only other thing I finished in the last week of January was The Forgetting Moon, and this was an audiobook. It was like a 30-hour audiobook, I think, and it took me 3 weeks to listen to it. And it was such a great fantasy novel. I really love it. I actually can't wait to read the second book. Which I think I will be doing in March. So I'm really looking forward to continuing on. The main character, there are a lot of characters that we follow in this story. The main character, I think, would be Nail, who is this young bastard boy being raised by someone who's not his family, and is really struggling, is looked down on. He has to join the army and learn how to fight. It also follows members of the royal family and others, and there is a enemy clan that is attacking, and they don't really stand a chance. But on top of all that, there is a whole nother level of plans and plots and journeys and deceit and political intrigue and just so much going on. And it was truly fantastic. And somehow there's quite a bit of great humor mixed in, even though this book is super brutal. Does not shy away from the violence. I definitely would recommend The Forgetting Moon. I can't wait to continue on with the series. So now, the total for my currently reading project, I read 421 pages for week 4 of the project, and that brought my total pages read from my currently reading list to 1,501 pages, which I am super happy about. I was able to finish 5 books, and now I only have 4 left on my original list, and I think I'm going to make those 4 books into my March TBR, as well as the arcs that I need to read that month, and add in a few others for buddy reads and things. I think it was a success, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed watching me pull the books from buckets and seeing what I thought of them. Next month will be all about short fantasy. I'll have 1 book. I'll have 1 video up a week about the short fantasy that I've read that week, and then I'll have a few book reviews coming up as well, and I'll be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks. Bye.